Hello. Are you tired of living in a world where things get spoiled for you constantly? I feel the same way. Hi, I'm Randall Tomlinson, and I'm going to give you a spoiler warning before you get into the new episode of Bad Art. There's going to be spoilers for movies like Avengers and Avengers Age of Ultron, even though Chewels hasn't seen the movie yet. But he feels that he would be spoiling something for you as he goes into some details about the movie. There's also spoilers for Captain America: The Winter Soldier. Possible spoilers for the new Mad Max movie, Fury Road. There's also spoilers for comics, like the Fear Itself story arc, and Civil War, and The World's Most Wanted. There's also spoilers, well, maybe there's possible spoilers for Daredevil. Depends on how you take it. There's spoilers for Spiderman, whether it's from the movies or the comics. But really, who doesn't know the story of Spider-Man by now? There's also spoilers for the Guardians of the Galaxy movie. So, if you're sensitive to that kind of stuff, and you don't want it ruined for you, because we sure as hell don't want to do that for you, you'll just need to donate your common sense to either turn this video off right now or mute it to just watch it if you want to see it that bad. But once you fulfill all the things on this spoiler list, feel free to come on back and check it out. Okay? I hope you have a nice day. Now, for all of you that are still here, enjoy the latest episode of Bad Art.
Drawing things for complete strangers, but my parents will probably watch this, so I guess they're not our strangers completely. Bad art. Yellow. For my OG triple OGs, you already know what it is. It's another episode of Bad Art. To my new schoolers and my one-times, this is a video series where I draw some things and talk some things, and you can watch or either listen to things. So, if you're watching this on the day that it gets posted, the date is April 27th, 2015, which means that later this week, Avengers Age of Ultron will finally come out in theaters. Thank the gods, the day is finally coming, because I am seriously getting sick and tired of Marvel trying to shove the trailers down my eye sockets. I mean, it has gotten to the point, like, advertising these movies is getting ridiculous. And not just Marvel, it's just any, like, big blockbuster movie. It is getting ridiculous. It literally has gotten to the point where there was one night they showed the trailer 2 times in a row. Like, one was a commercial for Audi, which was just showing segments of the movie. And then, like, right after that, they showed the trailer for Age of Ultron. So I was just like, oh my gosh, man, like, please stop. I get it. The movie's coming out. You know, like, I got it. I got it marked on my calendar. I'm ready to go and see it. And not because I want to see the movie. I honestly could give a damn about Age of Ultron right now. And I'm going to get into that more later. Like, I'm going to explain what I mean by that. I'm just excited to see more of Iron Man. I want to see Iron Man fly around and do his thing. I want to see his armor, like the cool way his armor gets onto him this time. Because, you know, it's a different sequence of how his armor comes on in every movie. So that's all I'm excited for this movie. But yeah, so I mean, let me explain too. I haven't been watching the trailers. I've only seen the Age of Ultron trailer once, and I was pretty much forced to do it. I've been getting into this mode lately where I just don't want to watch trailers for movies anymore, especially like movies that I'm really interested in watching. So like I like horror movies. Like, horror is probably one of my favorite genres of movies to watch. After heist movies, of course. But you know, I don't want to see trailers anymore. So when they first showed the very first trailer for Avengers, I guess you could call it a teaser, but I call it a trailer because they showed quite a bit of the movie, or quite a bit, or a lot of segments for the movie. Um, my buddy Steve, you know Steve, he pretty much forced me to watch it. Him and another friend of mine, Chad, we call him Tron. They both forced me to watch the trailer. So like Tron was like pretty much holding me in place, and Steve had his phone like sitting in my face to watch the trailer. And I could have closed my eyes, but then it would have been like somebody putting their hands all over my face and touching me, trying to force my eyes open. And it wasn't that serious. So I was like, fine, whatever. I'll watch the trailer. I watched it. Luckily, when I watched it, I was like borderline drunk. So my idea was after it went off, I proceeded to drink more and to forget, because the more I drink, the more sleeper I get. I go to sleep, and it's really hard for me to remember what happened if I drank a lot. So I did that. It was sort of a success because I can only remember Thor choking Tony Stark and the faceplate of the Hulkbuster armor going over Iron Man's helmet, and what else do I remember? I remember like some decrepit looking Iron Man armor, which I'm guessing is the prototype Ultron or something like that. But I just remember Iron Man armor being all decrepit and stuff, and everybody at the party was kind of like shocked at what was going on. And that's it. So that's actually really good because I do remember them just showing a lot of stuff for that trailer. But I'm over watching movie trailers now just because it's starting to get to the point where it's ruining the movie experience for me. Like, I already go into movies. I'm already like balanced. I already walked the line of spoilers because I'm not the average moviegoer where I go on about my day and I'll see the trailer for the movie on TV and I'm like, oh, okay, I want to go see that. And then I go and see it when it comes out. I'm the type of person where I want to know the behind the scenes of what's going on. Like, where did they go to shoot some scenes? What actors' contracts are about to expire, or who renewed their contracts, and who got injured on set. Stuff like that. Like I'm into, because I'm into movies. Like, one of my dream jobs is to just become a concept artist and eventually help work on movies and video games and TV shows and stuff like that. So I'm into like the backdoor workings of what's going on with movies. So I already walked the line of things being spoiled for me, which I'm fine with because I kind of have to control like what I read and what I see. Avengers Age of Ultron was already like spoiling a lot of stuff for me just from when they were at Comic-Con last year, because they had all these concept arts that they were showing where Iron Man was fighting the Hulk and he was in Hulkbuster armor. And I had no idea there was going to be Hulkbuster armor in Avengers 2. There was another picture that they showed, which was of Captain America's shield being broken. And I was like, okay, so eventually his shield's going to get broken. I'm guessing it's going to be Ultron that does it to show like how powerful he is. For those who don't know, that's actually kind of a callback to a story arc in the Marvel comics. I can't remember who did it, but it was in the story arc of Fear itself. Like, somebody like took Captain America's shield and broke it like it was nothing. It's actually pretty funny. But I'm guessing that's what they're referencing to, because I really don't remember Captain America's shield getting broken a lot in the comics. But, there was stuff like that was already getting spoiled for me. So from that point on, and this is before they showed the first trailer, I was just like, okay, I'm not watching any more of this movie. But yeah, it's starting to spoil the movie for me, because I'll give you an example. From the first Avengers, there's a scene that they show in the trailer where Iron Man's falling from the sky and the Hulk jumps out of nowhere and catches him. And I was just like, I saw that and I was like, dude, that looks badass, but I really wish I could have saw that in theaters, like fresh, And when I went into the movies, I'm watching it, and the scene where the wormhole opens and the aliens start pouring through,
and Iron Man goes and starts fighting them on his own, I was like sitting there thinking, I was like, okay, I was like, so this is probably where Tony's gonna get his ass beat, and he's gonna fall out of the sky, and Hulk's gonna jump out of nowhere and catch him, and everybody else is gonna come and start fighting with him and stuff like that. But that didn't happen. And then they started the scene where the nuclear warhead was going towards New York City to blow it up, and Tony intercepts it and takes it into the wormhole to direct it at the mothership. And I was like, okay, this is the scene now, definitely, where he's going to fall out of the sky. So, they tried to do the whole build up where if he blows up the ship while he's through the wormhole, it's going to close on him and he's not going to be able to get back. That didn't work on me because it's like I immediately snapped to the image from the trailer of him falling from the sky. So I already know he's not going to get trapped through the wormhole. So that suspense is gone. Another example is with Captain America the Winter Soldier, where Nick Fury gets shot and they have him on the operating table and they're like, oh, we lost him, like he's dead. It's like that has no effect on me because for one, I know that Samuel Jackson is signed up to do 6 Marvel movies. Last time I checked, he was signed up for 6 movies. And I think Winter Soldier was his 5th movie that he has a prominent role in. So he's got one more. So I'm guessing that's Avengers 2. But, so that effect lost me. And then there was also a scene in that trailer where he kind of like steps through a door and he's got this leather trench coat on and he's got his arm in a sling and he's kind of like doing his little badass pose. So I immediately snapped back to that and I was like, Nick Fury's not dead. So that suspense isn't working on me. The scene where he's like running away from the cops that are trying to kill him. They do that chase scene through the streets. I'm watching it and I'm like, oh man, like they're trying to get Nick, but they can't get him. Like, you can't kill Nick Fury that easily, but I immediately snapped to the scene where they show the Winter Soldier walking in the middle of the street and tosses the bomb under his truck and blows it up. So I was like, okay, well, I know how this scene ends. Like, he's doing all this work just to run into the Winter Soldier and blow the truck up and stuff like that. I mean, you can call it nitpicky. You can think that I'm being crazy, and maybe I am, but it's just, I'm tired of these trailers getting my expectations built up and going into the theater and clearly seeing a good movie that someone put together, and my reaction when the movie's over is just, I thought they could have did more, And I'm only thinking that because I've seen so much in the trailers that I'm just kind of underwhelmed in the movie because it's like they don't really show a lot of shots that can like take over what I already saw in the trailer. So then I come out of the movie thinking like, it was okay. It was mediocre, stuff like that, And I hate feeling that way, And I hate getting my expectations built up from the trailer and the movie ends up being shit. That's happened before too. Prime example, No Country for Old Men. You watch the trailer of that movie looks badass. That movie looks going to be good as fuck. But it ends up being a horrible movie. My opinion, of course, like, it's probably one of the worst movies I've ever seen. So, yeah, that's just why I'm really over, like, the whole trailer thing, and I also have gotten to the point now as well where it's like, I look at trailers for 2 reasons. The use of trailers are for 2 reasons, and that's to sell someone on the movie. Like, maybe you didn't want to see it, but after seeing the trailer, now you want to. That's how I see it. Or it's like showing someone, I guess it's in the same category of selling it to someone, but trying to see what the movie's gonna look like. For example, Batman Superman. Like, Batman v Superman is the first time you're going to see a live action movie of Batman and Superman on the same screen. And I think that's going to look kind of weird, so that will be a trailer that you will want to see just for a couple seconds, just to see like what that's going to look like, how that's going to work. The only reason I haven't watched that trailer is because I've seen Zack Snyder movies before. I'm a big fan of Zack Snyder. I don't need to be sold on his movies anymore. I pretty much know what to expect as far as visuals go. So therefore, I don't want to see the Batman vs Superman trailer. I don't care if it's a teaser or not. I don't care if it's a minute. I don't care. I don't want to see it. Let me know when the movie comes out.
and I will be there. Just like I don't need to be sold on Avengers 2. I saw Avengers 1, I loved it. I don't need to see what 2 is going to look like. Just let me know when it comes out and I will go see it. I will be there. So that's just how I feel with trailers. And I mean, I do my little rituals, man. Like when I'm in the theater and they show up on screen, I close my eyes. Online, like I'm trying to like read articles of random stuff, and if something pops up about the movie, I kind of just look away. If the trailer pops up on TV while I'm watching the show, I look away. Now it's getting to the point where they're online, like they're popping up online out of nowhere. It's just, I got a damn crick in my neck from jerking my head back so much from trying not to see stuff, but the audio doesn't bother me too much. I mean, I can hear what they're saying, but that doesn't really bother me. I listen to podcasts where they do set visits and they talk about what's going to go on with the movies, and that doesn't bother me too much because that just takes me back to the days when I used to read about movie sets in like Wizard magazine, where they'll talk about like how they're on the set of Spawn and how they're going to do this and how maybe this is going to happen in the movie and stuff like that. So the audio stuff doesn't bother me for right now. Maybe I'll get to a point where I just start plugging my ears, and I don't care what I look like. You can talk about me all you want if you ever see me in person in a movie theater with my eyes closed and, plugging my ears and stuff, or going like, la, 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 la. I wouldn't do la, la, la. That's annoying, but, don't be surprised if you ever see me doing that. So, but that's just how I feel, man. I mean, I'm not like cold turkey on not watching trailers. I'm slowly trying to work my way to not watching them. If I do watch them, I only want to watch for a couple of seconds and then look away. I tried to do that with Mad Max, and that's a prime example too, where I need to be sold on Mad Max. Like, I love Tom Hardy. I know he's going to deliver, but it's been a long time since Thunderdome. And even though it's the same director, which I think is pretty cool, even though it's the same director, it's been a while since Thunderdome came out. It's been probably decades. And the fact that they're making another Mad Max movie now, and they're not using Mel Gibson, they're using Tom Hardy, it's just, I want to see like a brief glimpse of the trailer and see what I'm getting into and see if things hold up. Like, are you going to stay with practical effects, or are you going to be more CG heavy this time, And I ended up watching the entire trailer, and this was the first one. So, I mean, and they were showing a lot, I feel. Like, because the movie's called Fury Road, and if you watch the trailer, it's like a big convoy with him tied up to the front of a truck. And I'm guessing, like, maybe that's going to be the entire movie where he's tied up on that truck and he's probably having flashbacks to, back before he got captured. You know what I'm saying? So as you can see, I'm already trying to theorize what's going to go on in that movie instead of just going in there fresh trying to figure out what the hell's going on. But I watched that trailer, and it looks like they're doing a good mix of practical and CG, but it does look like it's going to be a lot more CG than practical. But either way, I'm sold on that movie. It is my most anticipated movie to watch this year, so I can't wait for that to come out. So yeah, but that was a trailer where it's like, I wish I could have just watched a couple seconds of it and looked away, because it's just, when I watched the whole thing, I just kind of felt like, oh man, they're showing so much. And I mean, and this was months ago. And what you need to know about me is that I am an artist, and I've been to many art classes, and one of the things that they teach you, like one of the exercises that they have you do, is they'll have you look at something for like a couple seconds and look away and draw it. And they want you to draw as much as you can from memory from what you saw in that one glimpse. And that has stuck with me. It is a trait that I use a lot. And it's a trait that I use with movie trailers, and that's one of the reasons why I have to just look away. I cannot watch this stuff anymore, because I will see glimpses of things and I will remember them going into the movie. Like, and even if I do somehow briefly forget them, when I'm watching a movie, it's going to jump me right back to when I first saw that trailer. I'm going to be like, oh, this is that part where Iron Man falls out the sky. You know what I mean? This is that part where, you know, Cap is fighting, you know, this guy and he's going to do this move on him and stuff like that. And it's like, I just want to be surprised. That's all. That's all it is, man. So, you know, don't judge me too much. But yeah. So, I think that's going to be about it. I think I got my point across, hopefully, for the movie trailers. The other thing is, well, I guess going back to the trailers as well. Well, no, I think I'm done with that. The other thing is too, is that, so getting back to where I said I'm not really excited for Age of Ultron, that has to do with the fact that Marvel decided to announce the like next 5 years of movies that they're gonna do. And that really sucks, okay? Because they ever since they started doing the whole Marvel movie thing and how they were kind of deriving storylines from comics and everything, and especially after the first Avengers, where the aftermath of the alien attack, where a lot of people were like, well, they saved the city, but everything's ruined. You know, how are we supposed to defend ourselves with these guys running around with these superpowers just doing what they want? Like, you know, should we control this? They said something like that at the end of Avengers. And I was like, dude, if they do a Civil War storyline in the movies, I'm going to be so happy, because Civil War is one of my favorite storylines in comics, one of my favorite story arcs. And lo and behold, Marvel announces the movies that they're going to do for the next 5 years. And one of those movies is Captain America 3, which has the subtitle Civil War. And I was like, holy shit. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. I cannot wait for this. And I immediately just got to the point where I was just like, I don't even give a damn about Age of Ultron anymore. I just want them to get this shit over with so we can get to next year and get the Civil War. Because what I want after Civil War is I want them to do another solo Iron Man movie and do the World's Most Wanted story arc, which is my all-time favorite storyline or story arc of comics just ever. It is it's not one of, it is the best storyline I have experienced in comics, and that is World's Most Wanted. And, you know, hopefully you guys paid attention to the spoiler warning in the beginning of this video, because I'm about to just give you a brief glimpse of what it is. And in World's Most Wanted, Iron Man has all the identities of the superheroes and stuff logged into his brain. It's a long story, but pretty much in the comics, Iron Man is practically a cyborg. But he has all the superhero identities logged into his brain. And Norman Osborn wants it. So he can either like hunt people down and kill them, or use them for whatever, like stuff like that. It's been a while since I read it, but Norman Osborn wants it. So he's trying to capture Tony Stark and puts out a hit on him to have the authorities like get him and lock him up. And Tony has to go on the run. And while he's on the run, like his assets are getting frozen, his facilities are getting locked down, you know, because Norman Osborn has jurisdiction over all that stuff. So his facilities are getting locked down one by one. So he has to like keep going to all these different facilities that he has and using these older models of his suits while erasing his brain so they don't get the registration out of it. And he's getting dumber as he's like fleeing, you know, and using his armor and stuff. And it's a really amazing storyline. And they could totally do that for the movies, because if you remember in the first Avengers, he downloaded all of S.H.I.E.L.D.'s files on the helicarrier. So they could totally do that for a storyline in Iron Man 4 and have somebody want to go after the S.H.I.E.L.D. files and get that from him, and he can go on the run like trying to keep that from him. So if I'm not saying they will do it, but if they do, I would be very happy. But all I'm saying is, my point is that stop announcing movies that you're going to do 5 years or 10 years from now, because that's a long ass time, and it's kind of stealing the shine away from the movies that you have coming out like today, you know, or later this week, for instance, you know. So that's my only thing about that, is like maybe be a little bit more careful on what you announce as far as what's coming out, you know what I mean? So yeah. I think I rambled on enough. Let's talk about the new piece of art, the new Chewcasso, as I like to call them. And if you haven't noticed in my earlier videos, I try and like broaden my horizons. I'm trying to like do things I don't normally do. I normally just like to draw characters, just like one person. But every now and then I like to like expand my palette and try out new things, and try and challenge myself. So this is more or less not really about like the actual Spider-Man character in the center of the page, but more about the whole area. I'm trying to like work on making better backgrounds. And this is just an idea that I came up with back when they started announcing the story details of Age of Ultron, where they said like this is going to set in motion the events of Civil War. So, which means that by the end of the movie, the Avengers are going to be split. The heroes are going to be split. They're going to be going at war with each other. And I guess that's supposed to pick up in Captain America Civil War. And then in recent news, Marvel and Sony finally worked out a deal to where like Marvel has the rights to Spider-Man again. Like they can use him in their movies in the MCU universe or in the MCU. So that makes me very happy because people should know that Spider-Man is my boy. Spider-Man is my number one favorite all-time hero ever. Superhero, whatever you want to call him. He's the best. Peter Parker for the win. And I know that it's probably too late for them to do this, but they probably could still do it. And I'm going to let you know how they could do it. And this picture is going to help you visualize what I'm talking about. People have heard me say this before, so if you heard me say it before, you might as well just stop the video now or mute it. So basically, you have Age of Ultron, and, Tony makes Ultron, and Ultrons are flying all over and destroying the city again. The Avengers have to stop him, and at the end of the movie, it gets to the point where the government and the government officials are like, okay, superheroes, you're getting out of control. You got all this power and stuff, and yeah, you saved the world, but you're doing more harm than good. We need to regulate you guys. We need to get you under control, okay? So we need to come out with this Superhero Registration Act. There's a group of people who will be for it. There's a group of people who won't be for it. Tony Stark is the guy who's like, I completely agree because I'm the reason why Ultron did what he did. So yeah, let's start a superhero registration. Let's do this. Cap can come up and be like, you're being ridiculous. We don't need to do that. We're fine how we are. We ran into this already with S.H.I.E.L.D. being infiltrated by Hydra from the ground floor. We don't need to do this shit again. Let's just keep doing our own thing. Tony says no. Cap says yes. So they end up getting to the point where Cap can be like, okay, Tony, let's just stop for now. We'll talk about this later. Just don't do anything stupid. Don't do anything irrational. And Tony will be like, okay, no problem, Cap. Take care of it. Good talk. They both walk off. Very next day, Tony goes, has a press conference, just like he did at the end of Iron Man 1, and just says, hey guys, so came up with this great idea, gonna have the Superhero Registration Act, we're gonna start taking responsibility for our powers, we're gonna work closely with the government, we're gonna carry out these missions, we're gonna carry things out in an orderly fashion and try and keep the casualties down to a minimum, and the movie just ends, it just ends from there, and it'll be like, oh, this will pick up in Captain America Civil War. Credits start rolling, and then they can either do their little midway secret ending, or they can wait till the credits just finish rolling all together, and then it cuts to a scene where you're in a room, and the camera is like kind of panning around the room, and you just see these newspaper clippings of like, vigilante in Queens, stopping bank robberies, or, man spider figure, like, stop this mugger from, mugging somebody. And, you'll see, like, pictures on the wall of, like, a helicarrier, like pictures of what could be the helicarrier in the air, and some little selfies of a guy dressed in red. You'll have pictures of the Hulk. You have pictures of the portal where the aliens came through in New York. You have pictures of Oscorp, you know, and while the camera's panning around the room showing this stuff, you just hear in the background like Tony Stark, like, you know, giving his speech about how he wants to do the Superhero Registration Act and how he wants people to start taking more responsibility with their powers and not going out and doing things on their own, you know, and getting people hurt. You know what I mean? And it'll go down to the TV and it shows that whole speech and stuff of him. And then at the very end of it, you know, or it goes to the TV and shows it, but then it pans over to a window of someone like watching the TV and they're dressed up. They got the red mask on, they got the shirt on and stuff, and it's somebody watching it. It's clearly Spider-Man, and at the end of the speech is just like, come on down, register your powers, you know, and start taking responsibility. And then like Spider-Man could just like turn around, jump out the window, and swing away. And you can take that as him just going to fight some more crime, or you can take it as him just going straight to Tony Stark to register his powers and say like, hey, you know, I'm Spider-Man and I've been protecting Queens this whole time and my real name is Peter Parker. And then bam, you know, and you know, but that'll happen in Civil War. I just want the secret ending to end with him just jumping out of the window. You know what I'm saying? And that's it. And that would be so amazing if they did that. Because Marvel said that they don't want to do origin stories for their characters anymore. I mean, they said that they're not going to do it, but you know they want to. Like, if you watch Daredevil, they're still very much into explaining people's origin stories. And this is the perfect way to explain Spider-Man's origin story without having to dedicate a whole movie to it. Like, you just, like, explain where he's been at this whole time. Like, when the whole shit was going down in New York with the aliens and the robots, you could just say that he was in Queens. And the pictures of, like, the helicarrier and stuff like that and the wormhole, that can show that he was there in New York. It's just that he was such a small figure in that whole thing that he was just kind of saving whoever he could during that whole chaos. But for the most part, he was out in Queens, like, working his beat. You know what I'm saying? Just like how Daredevil is out in Hell's Kitchen, just, like, doing his thing. And, you know, the Avengers were out saving the world and stuff. So I just think that's the perfect way to introduce Spider-Man and to just bypass the whole, like, bio of him. Like, oh, you know, I got bit by a spider and I got my powers and, you know, and Uncle Ben died and Gwen Stacy died and all this other stuff. You know what I mean? And now I'm Spider-Man. So that's just my idea. Marvel's already said that they're not going to have a secret ending for Avengers. I think that's bullshit because I think they did the same thing with Guardians of the Galaxy. I think they had came out and said there wasn't going to be a secret ending for that, and then you ended up having Howard the Duck at the very end. Even though they added it in at the last minute, they still put it in there. So them saying that they're not going to have a secret ending for Avengers 2, I think they're full of shit. I think that they could do this. I mean, as far as we know, they don't have a person to play Peter Parker yet. And that's why I'm saying, like, you could just have it where when you show him, he's got a mask on, you know, and you could just pick any actor, have him put a mask on, and have him jump out the window, and it'll be fine. You know, nobody's going to know the difference. Just like they didn't know the difference, or maybe they didn't know the difference with Thanos from the first Avengers, where that was a completely different actor. That was not Josh Brolin at the end of Avengers, you know. So they could do that here with Spider-Man. But that's just my idea. That's what I think they should do. So, yeah. It'd be cool if they did it. I don't know if they will, but if they do, just imagine me in the theater just going crazy in my brain. I'm not going to be rude and be like, oh my God, they're doing it. They're doing it. Oh, Spider-Man, I love you. Oh, nerd boner. I'm not going to do all that. So that's going to be about it. We're going to close it out. My plans for the movie is I was going to wake up early Friday morning and go and see it so I didn't have to deal with anyone. But Steve wants to go to the midnight showing, so I guess I'm doing that now. So my experience is most likely going to be sitting in a line for 2 hours so I can get a good seat and praying that people in the movie theater don't act like complete fucking idiots so I can enjoy the movie. And that's going to be about it, man.
My birthday is this week as well. It is on Wednesday, the 29th of April. I will be turning 30 years old. Yes, I know I'm old as fuck, but I do not feel that way. I actually feel like I am 24, I think. Yeah. No, 24. Let me see. Because when I turned 25, for some reason, I did not feel older anymore. I just like my mind reverted back to me being 19. So when I turned 25, it's really hard to explain, but I felt like a 19-year-old. You know what I mean? So 5 years later, now I'm 30, I feel like I'm 24. I don't know why. I don't know what's happening. I mean, I eat lots of candy. I smoke cigars. I vape. I do work out, but I just feel like I'm 24 for some reason. I do not feel 30. But yeah. What am I going to do for my birthday? I have no idea. I didn't really have anything planned because I really don't care anymore. I'm old as fuck. My all-star birthday was last year when I turned 29, and I just celebrated that with family. My family came down to visit me, and we all hung out for the entire week. So I have nothing planned. Maybe I'll go bowling. Who knows? But I will definitely be working on the next video of bad art for you fine folks out there. So that's gonna be about it. You guys take it easy. If you're going to watch the Avengers movie, I hope you enjoy it. Come back and let's discuss it on here. You know, leave a comment, like, dislike, do what you like. You be safe out there. That was bad, but it could have been worse. And I'm out.